Hello and welcome. This is Home Life for Extraordinary Impact. My name is Matt Barrios. I'm a husband, dad, researcher, writer, and coach, and I'm exploring the topic of home life in global perspective, interviewing folks from around the world. What is their home like? How do they set up their home to be a place of personal growth, deep relational connection, and really making their greatest impact in the world all around them? That's what we're up to today, and I get to interview awesome folks all around the world in order to help make that happen. So today is no exception to that. Today I get to talk with Nate Pennington. Nate is an awesome guy that I met, online and everything. Very excited to chat with him. Some of what he's up to, he's a man of fitness. He's up to lots of stuff. He's got a great story. We're going to get into it. And that's what we're going to chat about today. And he is joining us from Florida. And I haven't talked to anybody from Florida yet. So that's a very exciting layer to this too, as I keep collecting perspectives on what's home like around the world. So Nate, thank you for joining us. Just to jump right into the subject matter, what are some of the ways that you like to set up your life at home in order to help you kind of, show up 100% to your life?
Yeah, I think it's been a kind of a learn as you go. When you first get married and it's just you and your spouse, and then as you have your first kid and your second kid and your third kid, or if you're like going from one career to the next or starting a new career, so you just kind of evolve and got to roll with the punches. It's kind of hard to say that there's anything really definitive. But when I was younger, I always like to take care of my health and so that I can improve myself for the betterment of those around me. And I think that's kind of been a cornerstone of what's kind of, held me together, hold this family together as the father, as the husband, as the provider, is to prioritize myself to be the best version of me so that I can be the best father I could be and the best husband I could be to my family.
That's awesome. I love that. I think it's so important to have that like self-possession enough to like know, okay, I'm responsible for me and nobody else is responsible for me. I'm responsible for me. So I'm going to be responsible for me in order to be of service to my family, to the other folks in my life. That's great. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis for you?
Really comes down to diet, nutrition, exercise, just staying active. Trying to keep my head clear. I do like to have some quiet time in the morning times to gather my thoughts. That way, like throughout the day, I can be not so much reactionary to the things that happen. I can kind of choose how I'm going to react to things rather than just subsequently them happening just by default. So I usually start up with some quiet time with either through meditation, talking to God, reading the Word. I like taking walks and just kind of clear my head. And I'm an early riser anyway, so when I get up in the morning, my wife, my kids are still asleep. Even though it's the summertime, they like to sleep in. But even when they're in the school years, the school months, I'm still up, hour or two before they do. So I take advantage of that time to really get myself in the right place mentally, physically. I normally get my workout in before that time. So by the time the reality of the day sets in, I feel like I'm in a good place to get things rolling.
That seems like an amazing way to start your morning, is actually like before anybody else is up, before you've got like a kid asking you to make them breakfast or whatever, like you are already in go mode, making sure that you're mentally there, making sure that you're physically fit, all of that. It seems like such a valuable way to start off your morning. What are some of the effects that you found, kind of benefits that you found over time with that?
Yeah, not just physically, as far as like feeling good, having the energy to keep up with my three daughters, and also my wife, who's also likes to stay fit as well. But also cognitively, I think a lot of people who don't prioritize themselves and they put so much of a focus on their wife and kids, which there's nothing wrong with that, But if you're not the best version of yourself, it's kind of hard for that to trickle over into your work life, but also your personal life as a spouse and as a parent. But yeah, it all just kind of comes down to fueling my body properly so that I feel good. And I realize that the harder things I do, like the hard things in life, don't seem to be as hard. So it's almost like I intentionally put my ship through rough water, to remind myself I'm the captain of the ship, because sometimes my ship doesn't always want to go the direction that I want it to go. So I have to will myself to do it rather than just, having to rely on motivation, because that motivation is not always there. You know what I mean? So rough water is going to happen in life. So sometimes you got to remind yourself, I'm the captain of the ship, and if I'm intentionally sometimes do hard things, the uncontrollable hard things that happen in life don't seem as hard.
That makes a lot of sense. What are some of the, intentional hard things you put yourself through in order to be prepared for the uncontrollable ones?
Yeah, mainly just pushing and pulling against resistance in the gym. Staying away from vices. I got nothing against people who do like to partake in drinking or smoking or whatever, but I try to stay away from that stuff to not let it want to allow me to escape from the reality that I am, because I like to be present, and so just doing what I know I need to do and staying away from the things that I know are not going to be conducive to a healthy mind and a healthy body. And also just being an example in front of my kids. I do want to be the kind of father that my kids can be proud of and take pride in. Whether I'm picking up from school and they say, yeah, that's my dad, and everything. And also that they can aspire to be. Whenever they see me being active, whenever they see me treating my body properly, it subsequently makes them want to follow my footsteps. Because oftentimes, they emulate what they see. You know what I mean? So I try to be a good example for them as well. So it's not just for me.
That's so great, Nick. I think there is something interesting about having a parent intentionally model taking care of themselves, being fit, being active, that actually sets a tone for a kid into the rest of their lives when they realize that's just normal. That's just how I live, right? Versus that's abnormal. Why would anybody go do that? No, you're setting the tone for this is what normal life looks like. Yeah, and I think that's a huge gift that you're giving your kids. What has it looked like for them to, grow up with a dad who's making that intentional, this intentional like fit drive, like trying to make things happen in the gym. Have you noticed any effects that it has on your kids?
Yeah, I mean, all of my kids are into exercise. I got three daughters. One of them she's 15 now, so she's kind of a little more independent, being older and everything. So I do have to kind of persuade her to exercise and to eat right. My younger two, they're 13 and 10, and they actually got really involved with CrossFit with my wife. My wife's a CrossFitter, and so that's something that they really look forward to. And even when they don't feel like it, and this is important because I feel like it's allowing them to become self-aware. They got the self-awareness that exercise gives them that I feel like I've never seen in other kids that are their age, and that even when they don't feel like going to work out because it's hot outside, or they're tired, or there's something on TV they want to watch, or the friends want to hang out, it's like, well, we made this commitment. We go Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time of day, so let's go ahead and do what we do because we've committed to this, and there'll always be time for recreation or whatever afterwards. And every single time we get done with that workout, they're in such a better mood. And they recognize that, and so that kind of puts a smile on my face, knowing that they have that self-actualization to know that whenever they do take care of their bodies and they prioritize their health, the mind kind of follows, and they're just in a better mood.
That's so true. Gosh, I know for me, I'm actually just getting back to the gym, just getting back to weightlifting. Was pretty active in it several years ago. Then I took a break. I became a runner for a while, ran a marathon. It was awesome. But then I quickly became not a runner, put on 30 pounds. Life wasn't so hot. So getting back to the gym, and man, I can tell you, just being on rhythm with pushing, pulling, sweating, getting the heart rate up, doing squats, whatever it is, it does something mentally too. And I love that you're, I'm thinking about a 13-year-old doing CrossFit. That's pretty remarkable that you can parent in such a way where that's something they're down for and willing to be a part of. What a cool example that you're setting for your kids.
Yeah, my youngest two, they're beasts, man. They're beasts.
Yeah, it sounds like they're total beasts. It's amazing. You mentioned with your partner that this is a tone that she's setting as well. Would you tell me more about what it's what creating a fit household has looked like for you?
Yeah, it's all just environmental, really. If you look into our refrigerator, you look into our pantry, it's kind of hard to want to eat things that are not conducive to a healthy lifestyle if you don't put it in your kitchen to begin with. A lot of people say that a fit body starts in the kitchen or abs are built in the kitchen, but really it's kind of just built in the grocery store. You know what I mean? Because if you got the right things in your kitchen, then it all starts there, whether or not what you choose to put in your pantry, what you choose to put in your refrigerator. So I always say it starts in the grocery store. But we always like to prioritize protein, and so eat enough protein to have enough amino acids to repair our muscles after we train, enough carbohydrates to fuel our workouts, to replenish glycogen afterwards, and also enough healthy fats just to be hormonally stable. And just trying to stay away from those empty calories. It still happens. I still let my kids be kids. We go to their church youth group on Wednesday nights, and they'll have the cookies and the pizza and everything. So they still live their life, But seeing how they know how eating healthy makes them feel whenever they do have those treats, when they go to a birthday party and they have cake and they have ice cream and it's fun, they enjoy it with their peers and they're having fun and everything, and they come home and they just kind of crash. And like I said, they have that self-actualization. It's like, man, I don't really feel good. I feel kind of tired. I'm not really motivated to doing anything. And they connect that to, oh yeah, I just had a bunch of food that's not necessarily good for me. So I think we do that too as humans, right? We stay motivated and disciplined throughout the week, and the weekend we think about going out and maybe having a nice dinner and that's accompanied by dessert and everything. We enjoy it, and then afterwards sometimes you got a little guilt afterwards, and you don't really necessarily feel very good the next morning. Maybe your workout's not as good because you feel sluggish. You know what I'm saying? So we still partake in the human element of celebratory food and stuff like that. But we view it just as that. It's a celebration. You know what I mean? But we would rather celebrate the gift of health and what our bodies are capable of through proper nutrition. You know what I mean? But still, we're still human. I don't want to act like we're robots over here.
Sure. That's great, man. Even just from the get-go, like it begins at the grocery store. What are you going to buy and bring home? That's an insight, man. I think I hear a lot of people talk about like it begins at what you bring to your house. But let's back up a step. Like, what are we willing to bring home? What are we going to buy or not? And is it going to be the stuff that's going to fuel our bodies and keep it in a good condition or not? I think that's like a really helpful piece for anybody to hear, the reminder of, we get to make the choice at the grocery store. My mom would always say to never go to the store hungry, because you'll end up buying everything that you shouldn't eat,
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. I'm curious, because this lifestyle, being fit, being active and everything, has that always been a value for you throughout your life, or how did that begin for you?
Yeah, man, I can remember since my childhood. So I grew up in the 80s. I was an 80s baby. So, and my father, he was actually into lifting weights too. So he kind of turned me on to a lot of those Arnold Schwarzenegger movies like Conan the Barbarian and Terminator and stuff like that. And so, and in the cartoons back then, oddly enough, it just seems like the cartoon characters, what was big back then, Masters of the Universe, like He-Man and Skeletor and the Thundercats, they all just had muscles, and I just admired that when I was young. And then when I turned 14, 15, I was at the age to where I was allowed to go to the local gym where my father went, and so I started going to the gym with him, and he basically taught me the basics. And there wasn't a whole lot of info out there. This is like back in the 90s, so there wasn't the internet where you can learn about proper nutrition and training. I would just read bodybuilding magazines and just go off of what I've heard other guys say in the gym. And I just kind of surpassed my father, and I just kind of got obsessed with it. And I did my first bodybuilding show when I was 17 years old, and I competed on until I was about 20. And I took a break from competitive aspects of bodybuilding, but I still lived the lifestyle when I was going through college, and when my wife and I got married and started having kids and everything. And I still maintain the structured way of eating every 4 or 5 hours with prioritizing protein and getting my workouts in every day. But once the reality of life, set in, and I'm settled in as a father and a husband. This is my role. This is my purpose. The whole competitive aspect. It's no longer important to me. It's just an expensive hobby that I don't really care to invest much into anymore. So now my focus, so it used to be kind of just the vanity of looking a certain way, and all that's important to all of us. We all want to look good, right? But at the end of the day, my focus is mainly shift towards just health, longevity, and just being able to want to keep up with my kids, and also down the road with my grandkids, and being able to keep up with the functionality of my job. I'm a career firefighter, EMT, so we do a lot of training there, and I want to be able to keep up with the demands of it.
Yeah, seriously, that's a very, very physical job where you got to be ready for anything, physically capable of anything that comes your way. You don't necessarily know exactly what it's going to be, huh? That's really intense. I also just want to draw the connection that I see, like how invested you are with your daughter's fitness and wellness. It seems like it's a legacy at this point, with the way that your dad taught you the basics at the gym, and you would go with him. Like, there's generational stuff going on here in terms of modeling what a healthy lifestyle looks like, a fit lifestyle looks like, and that's a real gift that you've got, you received, and that you're passing on. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's difficult to do, because it's hard enough, because sometimes people, one, they don't have the knowledge to take care of themselves. Even if they did have the knowledge, are they going to put forth the effort? So sometimes it's enough effort in and of itself to try to take care of yourself and fueling yourself properly through nutrition, and also taking the time to exercise. But as a parent, it takes even more effort to do that as a kid, because a lot of these foods that we feed our kids, like protein and fresh produce, it's perishable. It's hard to pack up in a lunchbox, and if you got to put an ice pack in there, and if they don't eat it, well, then sometimes it spoils, then you waste it and you throw it away. So as opposed to the easier stuff that's non-perishable, like the potato chips and the crackers, the stuff that's packaged, if they don't eat it, no big deal. You just reuse it, throw it in there the next day, and also it's a lot cheaper. So it also takes a lot more effort as a parent to try to more effort, and also a lot more money too, to try to provide that type of life for your kids as well. So it's something that takes some navigating around and getting some used to try to provide that same type of lifestyle for your kids as well.
Yeah, it makes sense to me that there'd be more logistical layers behind perishable foods, right? Like, and yet it is the stuff that is a lot better for you. It's like going to fuel the body that much better, and set up life that much better as well. So I see how it would take some more planning ahead and so on. Is meal prep, meal planning, all of that, is that like a rhythm of life for you all?
It is. It's something we've been doing long enough to where it just seems second nature. I'm also I do online fitness coaching, so that's something that I have to remind myself when I'm working with clients that they haven't been doing this for 25 years like myself. And so there's lots of teachable moments where there's certain things that just seem like, natural instinct to me. That's not instinct to them because this is new to them, so, prepping your meals for the following couple of days, and making sure that they're portioned out properly, their macronutrients, whether or not you're traveling and you're in your car a lot, which would sometimes involves carrying a cooler with you with an ice pack in there, and when you get hungry and you say, oh, it's time to eat, your food's already there, so that way you're not just having to resort to whatever's in the convenience store, or having to go out to eat at a fast food joint or whatever. So man, you just got to be intentional about it, be mindful, and begin each day with the end in mind.
That's awesome. That's so good. I think that's a sign of a true expert, that you almost forget how much of an expert you are with things like meal planning, meal prepping. It's just become so second nature to you that you don't even realize this is actually specialized knowledge, that you possess. So I'm glad that you're able to help people with their nutrition and getting fit and everything. You mentioned that you coach people online in fitness and weightlifting. What does that look like? What is the day-to-day? Are you working from home? Are you how does that look? Yeah,
I do my marketing through mainly social media. Mainly Instagram I've noticed is a good platform for it. So I'll put out a lot of content on Instagram. My name there is tenacious.nate. And so there's a lot of fitness type centered content that I put out both on my wall and in my story. and a lot of it's just a lot of recreational stuff I like doing. Like here, like I'm in Florida. I'm living not too far away from the beach. I like to surf. I like to paddleboard. I skateboard with my kids, and just kind of just living a life. I call myself Tenacious Nate because I'm big on just living a life of tenacity. You know what I mean? Overcoming adversity and just doing what you know is best for you. From a physical standpoint, mental standpoint, and also just a recreational standpoint, just enjoying your life, and so that's the kind of content that I put on Instagram, saying, look, I'm a 40-year-old man, and I'm still like I'm living my life as if I'm a healthy college student, you know, keeping up my kids and everything, and so I want people to realize you can be a husband, a wife. You can be parents. You can have these careers in your 40s, like myself, and you can still live a life that you feel like is vibrant and brings joy to you and brings value to you, and you subsequently bring value to the other people in your life. You know, so I use that as a platform, and so whenever I get inquiries about people wanting to join me for coaching, I have a private training app that I use, and I will onboard them to my private training app where I have videos to describe the exercise that I need them to do, because, you know, like I said, I'm a gym guy. I know what all these exercises are, but I have to understand that not everybody is a gym person. And so when I have named some exercise and they can think, I don't know what that exercise is, well, there's a video there that shows them how to do it. You know, so it's got videos on there. I tell them how many sets, how many reps to do. There's clocks in there to push the time in between each set, so they know exactly how long to rest. So it's pretty much foolproof. So there's an app that they take the phone into the gym with them. They'll log into the app. All the workout for that day is right there that I upload personally, depending on what their objective is, whether or not it's a college kid who's kind of skinny, wanting to put on muscle and get bigger, or just a middle-aged parent who's wanting to lose some weight and get in better shape. So that's the training aspect that I do through a private app, and then also I'll have them log in their food onto MyFitnessPal, which is also connected to the app, so I can keep up with their daily macros and make adjustments depending on how their body's responding to what I initially have them do from the beginning. And it's really convenient because I pretty much do it all from my cell phone. I don't even need Wi-Fi. I don't need a laptop. I communicate with them, through that app and everything. So it's pretty cool. It's been good. I've only been doing this online coaching maybe for like a year or two now. I first started as a personal trainer in commercialized gyms, so before the days of social media, I was just used to being a boots on the ground, frontline trainer, working one-on-one with people. And so it's been kind of a learning curve, working with people just through the World Wide Web, but I'm learning, and it's been rewarding, and I'm surprised at how many people I've been able to reach around the world, just literally through my phone.
That's pretty incredible. Everything from reaching out to people through social media, through the content you post, to like actually helping them use this app, communicating through this app.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds convenient also that, you are able to maintain your active, get out in the world lifestyle. You can do all this on your phone and still help people in the way that you want to help them get fit. So that's amazing. You also mentioned that you are a firefighter as well.
Yeah, the whole social media.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let's go back to that. Tell me more about what you're going to say.
Well, I was just talking about the whole social media and the phone thing, how it's kind of a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? You can go down some rabbit holes into some bad places with it, but on the other side, you can also use it for good. Like I know, like using it to help people, using it to help your life out monetarily, making money, and through whether it's through Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, it's basically just free marketing, free advertisement. And also another one of my side hustles, I'm a musician out here in Panama City Beach. I get really busy. Like right now, I got a gig tonight. I'm playing out at a pool deck at a restaurant. So I'll play a lot of country rock, southern rock, some alternative rock. And so I advertise, all of my music through social media as well, and people see that I do that too, and they contact me, through social media to book me for gigs, and so that's I know that a lot of people have some more deleterious things to say about social media, but it can really be used for good, if used properly, So it is kind of double-edged sword, but I'm trying to make the most of it in a positive way,
That's great, man. I love it. I mean, I feel like it can be used to be a pit to fall into that, robs life, or it could be a means to spread life to people. And I think that's something that you're really doing through that. And I like that. Okay, now I want to back up to I didn't know that you were also a firefighter. Could you tell me about your journey to becoming a firefighter, and what does your schedule look like with that?
Yeah, so I got into firefighting about 15 years ago. So my wife and I got married in 2007. At the time, I was a college graduate, and that was during the recession. Nobody was hiring, even if you were, highly educated, with a bachelor's or a master's or whatever. So I had a handful of friends that were firefighters, and they talked about how much they loved the job and how rewarding it was. And I always liked helping people anyways. And the schedules around here for all the local departments, for the city departments and unincorporated county departments was 24 on, 48 off. So you work for a full day, a full 24 hours, you sleep there at the station, and then when you get off in the morning, you have 48 hours off. And that sounded like a pretty sweet deal to me. And along with it comes the benefits as far as health insurance and state retirement. So I was like, you know what, this sounds like it could be fun, and it sounded like it'd be rewarding. So I put myself through the fire academy and through the EMT academy, and I got hired on with Bay County Fire Rescue, I believe, about 13, 14 years ago. And so my career is about halfway over now, and it's been a blast, man. Even if I quit now, I've made friends and friendships and memories that'll last a lifetime. And what seems cool about this job is any other job I've had, whether it's personal training, which is I'm helping people, which is cool too. But any other like side hustle I have is usually just kind of just a means to an end, a means to make money. But as I get into my later stages in life and I'm retired, I'm looking back, I feel like this is a good thing that I can look back on and take pride in. It wasn't just a means to an end. I helped people. I served my community, and it's also something that kind of I take pride in. You know what I mean? When somebody asks what I do for a living, when I say I'm a firefighter, I'm kind of proud of it. You know what I mean? Because it is a cool job, and people are typically enlightened when they hear that you're a firefighter, and they want to know more about it, because it is, not your ordinary everyday job. There's definitely a lot of excitement involved in it. I've seen people on their worst days. You know what I mean? I've seen tragedy, I've seen triumph, and it's been something else. So I work every third day. I take one day off. I have a 5-day break. I basically work 10 days a year. And most firefighters, given that they have 48 hours off of the time, they'll have side hustles, they'll have part-time jobs. Mine doing the fitness coaching, and then also like I said, being a musician, being able to play music on my days off as well.
That sounds like a really great setup for life. Like to have that much free space to chase these passions down, fitness and music. That's so cool. As well as be a person about your community, invested in, keeping people safe, keeping people's homes, from burning up, whatever it might be. Like, that's amazing work. So thank you for doing that for your community. That's incredible. So what's interesting to me too is the fact that you you're sleeping at the fire department for those 24 hours and stuff. So it's almost as if that place is like a second home for you. Does it feel that way for you, or not? Like, what is life like in the fire department, like when you're on shift?
Yeah, it is. It is like a home, because we get there at 7 a.m. On our shift day and get off at 7 a.m. the following day. So you eat breakfast with your crew, you eat lunch with your crew, you eat dinner with your crew, you're brushing your teeth, and then you wake up and you're still together. So it is kind of like a family, and the dynamics is going to be dependent on every department's a little bit different. Even in my own department, working for Bay County, the dynamics is different, is because we have some really rural areas, and where there's just like a bunch of woods, and you got to worry about woods fires, and there might be like a 2-man station, and then we have like more metropolitan areas, like on Panama City Beach, where you might have a crew of 5 or 6 in one station, where you got a lot more residential houses and things such as that, and it's really affected by tourism. Spring break's really big down here. So it's almost like 2 separate departments depending on where you're stationed at. I've been stationed out at the beach during spring break, where you don't sleep at all. You're running one call after another, and then where I'm at now, it's a little more slow. But it's mainly just some residencies. It's not really, it's not seasonal. It's not affected by tourism or anything. So I'm. It's now that I'm getting in my later stages of life, I do appreciate sleeping through the night most nights. But yeah, we get there in the morning time. We check our trucks to make sure all the life safety things are there, as far as our air packs. The trucks have water. If it runs, we crank it up and make sure everything's running. We do 2 hours of training a day, some sort of firefighter skill set, whether it's structure fires, vehicle extrication, and we do a lot of medical training too, because probably about 80% of our calls, even though we're firefighters, 80% of our calls are all medical related. We also, Bay County Emergency Services, what our fire department runs over, and they also incorporate EMS into that too. So all of us we're all medics, we're all EMTs. Sometimes they put us on an ambulance too, where we're transporting patients. So it's mainly EMS and medical type focused.
Wow, there's a lot to that, and even comparing those different locations, the smaller place versus this very, very busy place that's like spring break. I can't imagine, man, how crazy it could get in spring break in Florida, and I imagine, firefighters just crazy on call.
It's not as bad as it used to be.
Oh, really? Why is that? What do you think it is?
Well, shoot. So, man, if you could probably just Google this. If you research Panama City Beach spring break back in late '90s, early 2000s, where we had these super clubs over here, and I'm talking, we had Warp Tours over here. MTV would come down. We would have, you name any big artist, back in the late '90s, early 2000s, Lil Wayne. They would all come. I mean, it's sometimes they get the straight anarchy. We have tons of different law enforcement officers, agencies that come in to assist with our county deputies and our city police officers, and the span of control, one police officer per how many visitors we have is just insane, and it would get wild, and I'm glad that it's kind of slowed down now. We had like two main big super clubs that got destroyed during a hurricane here back in 2018. It was Hurricane Michael, a true Category 5 hurricane that pretty much leveled our whole county, and then they never really built those back up. So since those big super clubs kind of went away, it's been more. We still get a lot of knucklehead college students over here, and a lot of transits to come over and just try to stir up trouble and take advantage of people and steal and sell drugs. But it is starting to slowly evolve into more of a family destination. So that's kind of good. There's a whole saga when I don't know if you remember long ago. There was this film industry called Girls Gone Wild. They came over here a couple of years, and this is where they actually got busted for a bunch of underage things. So Panama City Beach was on the map as one of the number one spring break destinations for party goers, and this was back in my less enlightened days. So I did kind of partake in it sometimes, but I'm glad that's over with.
I'm sure. Gosh, yeah. That sounds like, as you've grown up and you settled down and you had kids and everything, much better that the whole the whole environment around you has also settled down. You can almost be grateful for a crazy hurricane if it actually shifts the climate, the temperature, and the feel of a place that much. As much as I'm sure it was also very difficult.
Yeah, that was wild. It's kind of almost a blessing in disguise that they got rid of some of those places.
Yeah, how crazy. Well, Nate, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for having it with me. It's just great to get a glimpse into a person's life, their background, hearing you as an expert in everything fitness and nutrition. Now to again, zooming in on home. So if you had, a recommendation or two for people for the way that they go about their life at home in order to really hone in their fitness and their nutrition, do you have any recommendations?
Specifically toward nutrition, I'm big on just prioritizing protein. I think that's kind of just the forgotten, macronutrient that people don't really think about because it's not convenient. You know what I mean? It's perishable. If you buy it raw, you have to cook it, and then when you do cook it, it's going to spoil if you don't eat it enough and don't eat it in time. And then if you're going to travel and go out, like I said, you have to make sure you keep it cool. So a lot of times when I have people, when I put them on a diet or try to get them in the proper direction of eating, I don't even take anything away. So that it doesn't feel restrictive. I don't say you can't have this, you can't have that. I just tell them prioritize protein. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Make sure you have, let's say, 30 grams of protein, depending on how big the person is or what their goal is. And typically what happens when I just tell them to prioritize protein and they're eating the protein, which is the most satiating nutrient there is, they don't really have much of an appetite for all the other bad stuff. So sometimes it's kind of coincident. Subsequently just fixes itself, and that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of diets fail is people get hungry. So I try to prioritize animal protein. It's good to fuel the workouts to prepare their bodies, and also subsequently it keeps them full from wanting to overeat the things that they don't do. So from a dietary standpoint, that's the main thing that I like to push is animal protein. And as far as the exercise element, I'm big on weight training. I do like getting outside and taking walks, getting sun exposure, grounding, putting my bare feet in the grass. but also resistance training. I think that's kind of a lost art when it comes to actually burning fat. And because just even at rest, we're always burning fat, whether we're sitting here, standing, sleeping, and 1 pound of body fat is going to burn only 2 calories per hour. Whereas an equal pound of lean body mass of muscle is actually going to burn 6 calories per hour. So just having more lean body mass is going to put your body in a more conducive state to just being leaner and healthier. So I'm just a big advocate of first, weight training, prioritizing protein, and typically when you do that, everything else kind of just falls into place.
That's good tips, man, to help set people up for a fit and healthy life. Thank you so much for providing those. And I hope that folks listening are like, okay, those are some tweaks I can make in the way that I go about home, getting more animal protein at home, adding resistance training to, I don't know, maybe there's an opportunity for investing in some gym equipment for your own home or something like that. Or you can always hop over to the gym. That's also a good way to do it. So thank you very much, Nate, for being an incredible guest. Thank you for bringing your expertise. If folks want to hear more about what you're up to, what are you working on and how can they get in touch?
Yeah, typically I put all my content out on Instagram. I can find it tenacious.nate. That's tenacious.nate, or they could probably just find my name through search me on Nate Pennington, and they can reach out to me through Instagram if they like to inquire more about my coaching, or if they just want to follow along, because sometimes it's kind of a highlight reel of some of the stuff that I like to do with my wife and my kids.
It's awesome. I'm going to give you a follow. That'll be fun. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nate, again for the time of an interview. This has been Home Life for Extraordinary Impact, everybody. So thank you for tuning in. This is part of my larger project, Home Life Design Lab, which is all about helping people transform their quality of life at home. So it's a place of growth, connection, making your greatest impact in the world. If that's the sort of stuff that you're up to, I'm exploring it from all angles with home, really in global perspective. I'm talking with people like Nate about things like fitness and nutrition and parenting for health and so on out of their home. And I'm also talking to furniture designers, and I'm talking to entrepreneurs who are building businesses, working from home. What are their unique techniques and strategies? Really the list goes on and on. I'm exploring it from as many angles as I can. And if that strikes your fancy, please follow along, subscribe to this on whatever platform you're taking it in on. And you can also go to homelifedesignlab.com where you can sign up for the newsletter, which is where I'm putting together some blog posts to help kind of stoke the conversation and stoke your thoughts that much further. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and until next time. Thanks for listening to Home Life for Extraordinary Impact. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed putting it together for you. Please take a moment to rate it, like it, and subscribe wherever you have listened or watched. If you really loved it, check the link in the show notes to become a premium subscriber to support the ongoing work of this project and to unlock some exclusive premium episodes. Home Life for Extraordinary Impact is a project of Home Life Design Lab. Find out more at homelifedesignlab.com, where you can sign up for the newsletter and follow along on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks.